Hi there, I'm Cornelius Koopman and welcome to All About Property. Now, when a seller receives an offer to purchase from a prospective buyer, there's normally much more to consider than just the offer amount. Pretoria-based real estate professional Eugene Jordan explained. Eugene, welcome to All About Property.
Thank you very much, Cornelius.
Now, I would imagine the first thing that sellers look at when they receive that offer from the buyer is what is the amount that they're offering. Just give us some guidelines when you do look at that amount as a seller. When do you know when to accept, decline, or go back with a counter offer?
Here, your agent or your property expert plays a big role because he will advise you on the price. Firstly, before you start marketing, make sure your price is right. Make sure it's market related. So when you receive that offer, you'll immediately be able to gauge whether this is a serious buyer. Is he making you a cheeky offer? Or is he just trying to level and open the playing field to see where the parties can settle?
Now, is it advisable to rather counter offer instead of just blatantly decline?
Yeah, I would rather say counter offer because you want to keep your buyer there. If you see that you're dealing with a good quality buyer, obviously try and keep him there. Try and make it viable for your buyer and try and invite him or entice him to go up slightly so that the parties can settle.
And this is obviously where your agent also plays a big role.
That's it. I always say there's not much you can do about selling the property. The home will sell itself. What you need is a property expert to help you during this negotiation process. And your agent plays a very important role.
Very often the seller would receive a cash offer.
Yes.
Now, how would that seller know whether that is legitimate? How would he know whether that cash really exists?
Yeah, you see, it's again, I want to get back to your property expert. It's good to have, before you start with your process, to have trust in your agent. So your agent will then also be able to advise you as to the quality of this buyer. Can he put his money where his mouth is? And then you can start getting measures in place as soon as you've got your buyer coming to the party with this cash offer. You can ask him for a letter from his bank or financial institution, which he'll be able to provide if the money is there.
Now, most buyers would buy with a bond or a home loan.
Yes.
What is the acceptable amount of time to give a buyer in order to secure that home loan?
We usually provide a 21 working day period for a normal salaried employee. But then you also have a situation where you have self-employeds or people buying in the name of a business or a trust. And there's a little bit more detail that has to go into such an application. So in that case, we would provide about 30 working days to get finance in place.
Now, how would you as a seller know whether that purchases finance have been approved?
Once a approved in principle, we call it, has been sent through, then we can already sort of start relaxing, and then your bond originator will provide you with an email that says that your client has accepted the bond quotation in terms of the new Credit Act. The buyer needs to accept a physical quotation by means of signing it, and once that has been confirmed, then you can confirm that your loan.
Then you know the funding is pretty much in place.
That's it.
Now, Eugene, I would imagine it's also very important for the seller to make sure that the continue marketing clause, otherwise known as the 72-hour clause, is in that contract.
This is a clause that puts your seller in a position where he can continue marketing his property during this period that he's given his buyer to sell his property. And then, should he get another offer, he gives his first buyer a 72-hour period in which he has to come up with the finance for buying this property.
Let's talk about taking occupation before registration of that property?
Things that a seller should be very much aware of is that he still carries risk up until the date of transfer. So Mr. Buyer comes along, moves into your property and starts knocking out walls, and only to realize after day 14 into the process that he's not qualifying for his finance. So here you sit with your property with knocked out walls. So it's a very big risk that you're taking on when you're allowing somebody to occupy your property. Also, Mr. Seller, you should remember that you are responsible to maintain this property still up until date of registration, and also maintain the payment of all levies and rates and taxes.
And let's say, for instance, that bond is not approved. Can you stipulate a notice period for that person to vacate the property?
Yes, very much so, and very important to do so, because you haven't intended to become a landlord and rent your property out. You want it sold.
Yes.
So I would then be very strict in terms of saying if suspensive conditions have not been met, that the party that occupies or your buyer occupying this property should then at least be out within 30 days or a month's period.
Now, Eugene, you represent the Leapfrog Property Group here in Moraletta Park in Pretoria. Do you have any advice or recommendations specific to the sellers in Moraletta Park when it comes to the offer to purchase?
Yes, Cornelius, more maybe an invitation rather than a recommendation. I would like to invite all the homeowners in Moraletta Park, if you need any advice, if you need a valuation on your property, please give us a call. We have been in the area since 1996, myself, and then with the Leapfrog Property Group since 2010. So we're well established. We're a young, vibrant bunch. We always look at a different approach. So invite us over, let us tell you all about our marketing process and how we'd like to assist you.
Well, Eugene, it was great chatting to you. Thank you very much.
It's been lovely, only a pleasure, Cornelius.